Hi everybody, Vinyl Tag 2022, thanks to Rob Walker. Let the music play for putting this together. Thanks Rob for taking the time out in absence of Andrew. So I bought about 190 albums this year, 10 box sets, and with 190, two 12-inch singles, one 7-inch single. 90% was jazz. I'm only going to show 3 jazz albums here today. So I'm going to focus as much as I can, apart from maybe 3 albums, on albums I bought in 2021. So, straight off, favourite LP of 2001, well, I've got quite a few and I'm not going to include my jazz, so I'm going to kick off with London Grammar, Californian Soil. This is a London band, obviously. English 3-piece. Fantastic vocals. It's the inner lovely blue vinyl. 3 albums. They sort of produce an album maybe once every 3 or 4 years. Fantastic album. She's a great singer. Well worth a listen and picking up. London Grammar, favourite album of 2021. Next off we have a band we've seen live. First band I seen, I don't tell people, it was the Bay City Rollers, as I'm from Edinburgh. I only ever bought 3 singles of theirs, which I don't have. I think my girlfriend had the album. Anyway, first band that I wanted to see live was probably in 1975, was Sparks. So this is a twofer of their first 2 albums. That's the first 2 albums when they played with their American band. They came over to the UK in '74 and formed their glam rock band. So this was the original cover from their original Sparks album when they were called Half Nelson, and then changed their name to Sparks and re-released the LP. So Sparks was the first live band I seen. Memory from that is the drunken bouncer stole my partner's girlfriend's camera, which we got back the next day. Anyway, that was a story. So an album by a duo, just showed this, Dead Can Dance. Just bought it maybe 3 weeks ago. I love Dead Can Dance. Australian duo who live out of London. 2018, fantastic album, Moroccan feel, one to go for. What's the next one? For an album still on the shrink. This is an RDS Record Store Day buy. This is part 2. Roddy Gallagher, live in Cleveland. So there's no live in Cleveland radio. From 1972, 180 grams. Just his band with this one. The volume 1 is him just solo with his acoustic guitar. This is with his band with no radio chat. Still in shrink. Eventually it will come out the shrink. Right, okay, I've got to get them in somewhere. A jazz album. Question 5, a concept album. My favourite album, Love Supreme. This is the treble album version I got this year. I got like 2 months ago. Love Supreme, so the concept is John Coltrane's prayer to Jesus, to our Lord. Concept in religion. an LP I've never listened to. Well, every album I've listened to. The only albums I never listen, well, sometimes I do. People give me albums and I've not got round to giving them away or selling them. So I was a big Queen fan in the day and finished round about the album Jazz, I think. And somebody gave me 2 or 3 later albums. So my love affair with Queen had waned by the time they came out, so never played it and never will, probably. It will go, they will go eventually, so that's Queen, The Game, never played. Their best albums for me are the Queen 1, 2, Sheer Heart Attack, and Reached a Height with A Night at the Opera. So next, new discovered artist in 2001. I've got to show this album at some point, and Floating Points. I didn't know Floating Points. I believe he's a bit of a DJ. I think it's just... So the pool for me was Pharoah Sanders here on sax, and we also have the London Symphony Orchestra. Fantastic album. My local record shop had it in the background. I said, what's that? I'll take it. Pharoah Sanders, Floating Points. What's the name of the album? Doesn't have a name. Die cut sleeve, black vinyl. Okay, an LP from a different continent. I'll only have Europe, North America, and 1 African LP. This is Fatala. It's on the WOMAD label, which is very much Peter Gabriel's setup, recorded in England, released in England, typical African sounds from 1988. Great album, lots of drum rhythms and vocals, chants. Fatala on Peter Gabriel's WOMAD World Circuit label. Live album, picked up this, Record Store Day, RSD, would be The Police, double album, live in Boston, 2 LP, blue vinyl. Volume 2 came in red vinyl. Fantastic album. The Police, live in Boston, I think. Volume 1 from 1979, Fab LP. Right, an LP still in the shrink. I'll leave albums in the shrink till the shrink deteriorates, or till I get round to putting them in the sleeves. No, this is it is in the shrink, live, different live. With the price, this is a price sticker. So again, I think this was from the same our Record Store Day pickup, Steely Dan. 2 Against Nature. Again, they've released their last 2 LPs, never on vinyl. Back in August there, whenever it was. So a sticker, yeah. So this was £26.95 when I bought it. Had a look in Discogs. And it's about £56 now. So that is one of the good things about Record Store Day. If you buy stuff and it does go up in value, a lot of it doesn't. So I bought this for £27 basically. It's now worth £56. Steely Dan. Sticker still on. Punk album. Put this back into my collection this year. 40th anniversary. Damn, Damn, Damned. Stupidly sold it back in the day. Well, don't know why. I just need our second album, For Your Pleasure, to put back in again. The damn fantastic punk album. Box set. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. This 7 LP, volumes 1 and 2. Volume 2 came out here as a double LP. The first set was 3 CDs, volume 1, released a few years ago. So that's on the 5 album, and the 2 album is volume 2. Fantastic set, booklet, just plain sleeves for the vinyl. Limited edition, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, B-sides and rarities. An LP with sporting theme. This is Pete Townsend. Got this at my local record shop, been after it for a while. Pete Townsend and Ronnie Lane. Pete Townsend from The Who, obviously. Ronnie Lane from The Faces. Ronnie Lane played bass in The Faces. And he plays, this is a great sort of country rock album with Ronnie Lane's influence with mandolins and dobro guitars, etc. So the sporting theme is lots of cards. So there's cricket, cards, boxing, football, rugby, etc., along with other cards. Could have qualified for 8 people. So that's Ronnie Lane, Rough Mix, and Ronnie and Pete Townsend, sorry. Fab album. A jazz album. So we've got Sons of Kermit. Came out this year on Impulse. Part of the London jazz scene. This is the 3rd album. I think they bring out just on black vinyl. Back to the Future. Fantastic album. Quite slow. A lot of tuba, the chap plays on it. A fine album, double album. A best of album. I only got one best of album this year, and it was from 1988. That's Michael Hedges, Strings of Steel. Now this was released in the UK and Europe. American guitarist. This album wasn't released in the States. This is an American promo. Chap loved it because it's not in the best of conditions. It's fine, it's VG++ on the Windham Hill label. So this album has one track different from the UK, and you get this promotional pack inside, which is really cool. So I was well pleased, being a big fan of Michael Hedges. He really released about maybe 4 or 5 albums on vinyl, then 4 albums on CD, and unfortunately died. Michael Hedges, Strings of Steel, my best of album of this year. An LP with more than 8 people or more on it, and this is a box set. Folk music, Electric Muse, the story of folk into rock. Loads of fantastic artists on it. So there's about 8 people in there with a reflection. All British, well, mostly British artists. Some American folk music on it. This particular one, Fairport Convention, Lindisfarne, Mr. Fox, don't know. It's a great compilation though. 4 LP, more than 8 people on the cover. So this next album qualified for quite a few things, and Rob asked for a soundtrack. So this is the soundtrack to Gandhi by Ravi Shankar from 1982. So you've got 1 million people on the cover also. Great soundtrack. Ravi Shankar does most of the music. He also qualifies as the original price tag from W.H. Smith's £5.49. And there's some orchestration by the English musician George Fenton. Fantastic album, fantastic soundtrack. million people, $5.49. VCLT from Rob Ison. This is Dexter Gordon, Go. Fantastic jazz album. Dexter Gordon, Rob Ison, VCLT. An LP with no writing on the cover. We've got Joanna Newsom from 2006. Joanna Newsom. And it's a lovely album, double album. There's a book in the middle of it. Great presentation. Joanna Newsom is a violin player. So this is, as the music's like the picture. Fantastic picture. Artwork. Joanna Newsom from 2006. Harp. And a lot of orchestrated instruments. Mandolin, banjo, accordion, marimba, violins. It's quite orchestrated too. So Joanna Newsom, Wise, it's called YS, Wise. Fantastic album. 7-inch single. Going with Balmoral. Only 7-inch I got this year, and that's Chime. And on the B side is Sean. Take this out because it doubles up as a nice coloured vinyl too. Lovely gold and black sort of swirl. So this kept Balmoral's album Wind out my top albums. Oh, it's in there. It's a great album, but I had to show a 7-inch. So this is Balmoral Shine. This is a record store deal, limited to 1,000 copies. Wee card there with the download code, anybody requires. Great single, well done Michael Mueller. So an LP of coloured vinyl would be John Fox. Came out this year, not that long ago actually. Coloured vinyl, you want to see coloured vinyl. Luscious red vinyl. So this album, probably from Knightwood of quality, it's not got a year on it. Probably qualifies for 1982. Round about that time, it was a single and B-sides not included on his LP. Round about the time. What's the album? Europe After a Rain. The Church. Was it The Church? Yeah. So yeah. So this is similar artwork from his second album, The Church. And just tracks, B-sides and one single, Miles Away. John Fox from Ultravox. One for the collector. And last but not least, an LP from 1982. Maybe should have been 81, 40th anniversary, I don't know. But 82, lots of great albums out at the time, but my main man from the time was Bill Nelson. This is his second album. They Love That Whirls, and this is Bill starting to drift off from his trying to be an electronic pop star, going slightly into ambient music. There's 4 instrumental tracks on here, which are fantastic. Great album. There was 2 singles from the album. Initial copies came with a free album, which was La Belle et la Bête, and it's Bill's attempt starting to do some soundtrack music, and that was for the stage production of the Yorkshire actor's interpretation of Beauty and the Beast. So 1982, the best album out there was Bill Nelson, The Love That Whirls. Okay, doc, fired through that. Well done, Rob. Catch you all soon. Bye then.